And welcome to episode 6, or is it episode 7? I'm not sure. It is just me, Peach, tonight. Smee is off to one of his La Familia's parties. And Jay, I'm sure, has some responsibilities elsewhere, but it's okay because we have pretty breaking news this week. Obviously, the last 24 hours have been chaotic to say the least with Donald Trump's, President Donald Trump. Some people would like me to put the J on that, but I'm not going to do that just because it's just an extra syllable that I don't need. Donald Trump, you know what I'm talking about. President Donald Trump's decision to bomb Iran's nuclear sites. But anyways, much more than that, it's been a chaotic 2 weeks. I know we've missed. Don't beat me up, guys. We're busy men with busy schedules. We're here and we're there. We're there and we're here. Okay. First of all, if you're watching, congratulations. Let me see what live you on. I'm just responding to my good friend Smee, Facebook. If you didn't know, by the way, we're live on Facebook on these podcasts and YouTube. I know I should probably get it out to Spotify, but busy man. Look, if you knew how much work it actually takes to get this a flight and get it to look this way, not just work, but money first of all. Anyways, let me share a couple things right here on my phone, and we'll get to the deets. The deets. Gosh. First of all, so I've been sitting here vaguely tuning into the NBA Finals, and let me just say this: SGA may be the most cringiest player to watch. Yes, I said it. The most cringiest player to watch. Why do I say that? Because when you had Harden at the Rockets, you got a couple of head kicks. You know what I'm saying? You got a couple of hands thrown up. He uses his full body to get a foul. His full body. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's very cringy to watch. I hope Pacers do all they can do and roll the Thunder tonight. Game 7. God forbid Tyrese Halliburton suffers an injury after three pointers, 9 minutes, and he plays maybe a snippet of the first quarter, a snippet, mind you. Okay. But anyways, that being said, I believe, if not tied, they are just level. Ooh, yeah, okay. So Pacers are up 48-47. NBA Finals Game 7. It's all you want, all you need. And tune in there. Send love. Like, let's be real. When Halliburton had his dad march out on the court at I we're just gonna call him Halliburton Sr., okay. I wasn't a fan of it. Why was I not a fan of it? Because dad got out of line. And I know when dad gets out of line, as I have kids, it's just bad business. Dad's got to stay in line. That's the thing about it, Dad. We got to stand upright, and we have got to keep the straight back. So therefore, we're dads. We're dads, God forbid. Anyways, but here they are, two to three series later, and they're in the NBA Finals. Tyrese Halliburton catches it on the three. Looks like he's about to take it to the rack. They do these dramatic step backs, maybe pull up for three number 4. And his Achilles goes, bam, like that. But Pacers are showing a lot of grit. Hang on. Anyways, Pacers showing a lot of grit. It's definitely one of those series that my kids hollered. It's definitely one of those series that you can respect. Like I said, it's not the series of past where you have LeBron, the king him, give him another ring, or excuse me, if you're not a LeBron fan, give him another loss to the finals. What is he, 4 of 8 in the finals, 3 of 8 in the finals? It's really not a good record. 23 on the Bulls trumps 23 on the Lakers any day of the week. First of all, big news today. Despite that, God forbid Tyrese Halliburton gets hurt. Wish him all the best, quick recovery. And to his dad, even though I don't like you, I hate to see what happened to your son. I hate to see what happened to your son, and I hope all is well with you and your family. God bless your son, and I hope he has a quick recovery. Let's give a hand clap to it. We have an announcement for those of you that are not NBA fans. Indigestion. I just crushed a whole pizza before we got on here. For those of you that are not NBA fans, today the Houston Rockets just so happened to acquire through trades. We sent Jalen Green and we sent my son Jalen. I'm sorry, I'm trying to focus through all this chaos. I may have to mute it and tell him to hush because that's just what we have to do. But through all this chaos, we acquire Kevin Durant and send Jalen Green. And send Dillon Brooks, even though I like the grittiness from Jalen Brooks and a couple draft picks. We send them to Phoenix, and then in return, we get Kevin Durant. Now, what does that mean? Jalen Green, 1 second. I'm about to tell my son. If y'all could hear that, I am greatly sorry. But anyways, back to the Magic. So what does that mean? I mean, it means what it means. First of all, Jalen Green did this to himself. He comes to the playoffs. Rockets have a dominant year throughout the whole season, and then he comes to the playoffs. In game one, he gives us what was it, 9 points, 8 points, single-digit points. And then game two, he splashes like we thought Jalen Green could splash. And then he gives us in those 30 margins. And then game three, game four, he just is a sitting duck, man. A sitting duck. And it's a sitting duck. Sorry, I'm texting. A sitting duck. And it's an underwhelming playoff experience for him, and it was kind of sickening to watch, especially after all the impact he had through the regular season. If you know the history of Jalen Green, he got drafted second over Cade Cunningham, that eventually went to the Detroit Pistons, and he was salty about that. He said, "Let me get at him. I want to get at him because I don't feel like I should have went two. I should have went one." But then you have this just asininical, forgive me if some of you think that's a curse word, but just a asininical performance in the playoffs. And it was almost inexcusable. It wasn't unexcusable. And therefore you see 2 months later, he is now shipped off to Phoenix. Jalen Green, I heard they have plenty of nice nail polish over there in Phoenix. They moved that way. Hope you enjoy it. KD, welcome home, baby. Hook 'em. Welcome home. Let's chase that ring together because I am all for it. I love the trade. I thought he was 38. He turns out he's 36. He's still got a few more years of what looks to be probably maybe 4 to 5 more years in his career. Could go to 41. Still an extremely dynamic scorer. And you got to love that because guess what? He's on the Houston Rockets. And I think that front with Fred VanVleet, if we, Lord, when we keep him, Steven Adams, we extended his contract for 3 more years. Jabari Parker, a growing star. Don't sleep on him because next year he's going to fix it. He's fixing to start coming out like for real. And then not only look, Cam Whitmore was a player that I thought should have got a lot more involved in the playoffs. He's seen glimpses of the playoffs. If that, but just a dynamic score and a very exciting score. So that's a man that has a lot more to come with himself. Amen Thompson, plenty to go there. Look, obviously you can see I'm a Rockets fan, and if you're watching this, I assume you're either from one or two places, Ohio, or you're from Texas. So if you're from Ohio, go Cavs. Y'all had a good season. Obviously the Pacers trumped that. But, if you're from Texas, I'm about to 1 second. while I correct my. A dad's got to do what a dad's got to do. Sorry about that. Sorry for the interruption. My kids, they're just outside screaming and hollering. I can't even think in here. Anyways, nonetheless, so let's get back to it. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Rockets, but yes, Kevin Durant is a Rocket. Let's go ahead and give him a give him a big cheer. Yeah, Kevin Durant's a Rocket. You heard it here. ESPN broke the news. I think he found out about it at Fanatic Festival. Welcome home, bud. Welcome home. Anyways, with that being said, so God forbid Tyrese Halliburton's hurt. Praise God, Kevin Durant's a Rocket. And then we have dun 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 dun. The politics. Yes, I said it. The politics, the politics, the politics. Now, let me just say this. Do I like talking about politics every show? I'm really not a political guy, but I like to think I have a little common sense. Again, texting the bros. I have a little common sense, and when I say that, we're going to get to Iran and Israel. Obviously, that's a big elephant that's sitting in everybody's living room, sitting in everybody's mind, just dancing around. We're wondering what's to come of that. But now before we had that, we had Los Angeles. Okay. I have a lot of good Mexican people, good Mexican friends. I call them family. Now, this is what I will say. You are in America. We're all blessed to be here, including myself. And there's many arguments that come from many different angles. And guys, keep in mind, we're not just on team white. We're not on team black. We're not on team just Mexican. We are all one. So that's what I try to think. I try to think common sense, but what is right? Rules are rules. What is right? What is wrong? First of all, let me say this. Rules are rules. Illegally documented people, there is still the term illegal. Okay. Now, I will say this. My problem, and I've always told, including my parents, and I love them to death, but you have Trump fanatics and then you have Trump supporters. I am a Trump supporter. Okay. Yeah, maybe in this podcast game you stay biased or whatever. Maybe it's better to. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump fanatic. I can see flaws. There's stuff I don't like. He rolls out this whole thing with ICE going down there and the National Guard and we're gonna get stuff right in Los Angeles because let's be honest, it feels like California doesn't have almost lawless in some parts. So Trump goes down there, sends the National Guard. Obviously, things get hairy after ICE raids start, and then, bam, we have riots. Okay, you know what? You know my problem with riots. I don't have a problem with protests because protests say something. Riots, I truly believe, are criminal led. I mean, that's just what they are. They're criminal led people that think that it's okay to take a dadgum Molotov. If you don't know what a Molotov is, it's got a little wick coming out of it or some kind of rag, and it's a burning, and it's when you throw it, it just and blows up all over. When you're throwing Molotovs and shooting fireworks, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Riots are criminal led. Yes, I said it. Criminal led, and they destroy businesses. Well, no matter what side of the fence, they're not only just destroying Republicans' businesses, they're destroying Democrats' businesses, they're destroying liberals' businesses, they're destroying conservatives' businesses. If you don't believe me, this is what I'll tell you right now. Go look up. If you don't believe me, grab your iPhone, pick it up, and Google. Like I said, I'm not saying that I sided with this one or I sided with that one. I'm just saying Google what happened after George Floyd in Milwaukee. It is still there today. The damage and decimation is still there today. You will see businesses that, even though that was in 2020 or 2019, whatever year that was, don't correct me, there's still damage, businesses that haven't reopened, buildings that haven't reopened, because I feel like criminals get in there and they plant seeds, and all of a sudden you've got one or two or three or four, and then all of a sudden you got five, then you got 20, and they're all doing the same thing, breaking into stores, stealing for what? For what? Anyways, back to the main topic of this whole conversation. You have riots in Los Angeles. Now, here's where I'm at with this. I truly feel, like I said, this goes back to me being a Trump supporter and not a Trump fanatic, but I truly believe, I wish Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, whatever way you want to refer to him, I wish he was a lot more specific about what needed to roll out. Sorry, I'm in another text message. Anyways, so you have the fanatics that'll say, "Oh, Trump did no wrong," but I'm a Trump supporter, and that means I could still say, "Clean it up a little bit, brother." I wish that things were more specified. Okay, I know that there's a real situation here in the States where we have really good people that have really good hearts, that have really good intentions, and are really, really proud of America. Okay. They love this country. They love being here. They've raised family here, and they probably pay taxes here. And guess what? They forgot to re-up their visa after 10. Now a lot of people are like, "Oh, you don't forget to re-up your visa." And probably maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't re-up their visa because they've been, I don't know how long you get a work visa, maybe biannually. But then they're in this situation where it's like, "Hey, homie, you got to leave. You got two kids here, and you've been doing the right thing for some number of years, but you got to go." I wish it was a little bit more specific. And when I mean specific, I mean, if you're a criminal, you had a criminal past. I don't know how we would track it over there, but definitely if you had one over here, bye. Bye. And I've heard the arguments to say, well, hey, what if you were living in the same household as that illegal criminal and then you condoned it? I mean, that's an argument. It just depends. I mean, guilty by association, or that's the rules we're following. I mean, if that's the rules, bye. But what happens to the several immigrants who came over to this country, maybe would have it be for asylum, and then they got here, and they were just truly hardworking people, man. I wish that I know it's there's a large gray area painted on that topic, and I hope that we can get a lot more specific about what that actually means, and just saying like, "Hey, bro, if you have harmed people over here, if you have taken advantage of the system, bye." That's as easy as it is to say. And I don't understand what kind of American that is and when I say American, I'm not saying a white person. I'm saying an American, an African American, a Mexican American, whoever you are. There are rules. If you go to a job and you say you work at a plant, you come in without them steel toes. You come out in without them safety glasses. Without the earplugs. Bye. That's what the safety man tells you, because rules are rules and they're made for a reason. If you don't follow them, then bye. I have love for the people that have no harm, that come to this country for asylum, that want to start a new life, that want to raise and change the dynamic of maybe they had a negative past over there, I'm all for that, bro. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if it's just say us, and it leads you to another whole nother topic. Okay, lead you to a whole nother topic. Is the citizenship thing broken? I don't know. I've never been through it. I've heard some families say it takes 5 to 10 years, which is an extremely long time, especially if you're coming here for asylum. Like if you're coming here running from something. I've heard of one story of a girl that literally fled the whatever state she was in Mexico. I want to say Michoacan. Come up here because she was a reporter or some kind of journalist or whatever, broke some news on the cartel, and then got word from the cartel, hey, mamacita, we're looking for you, we're coming after you. And so she fled like any smart person would, north to the border. It got held up. Believe it was a bad situation. She got over here eventually, but like I said, imagine if you're into them type of circumstances. Look, I got love for everybody. I got wide open arms, like that Creep song, with arms wide open, like that. That's how it's supposed to be, but just not to everybody, because there are people that with the wrong intentions. When I mean wrong intentions, people that say, okay, we're just going to come over here to America to do nothing and then enjoy whatever. But look, let's be honest, there's plenty of Americans out there doing the same thing, just living off of life and nothing but no responsibility, but nothing but that. It's a deep subject. Moral of the topic, let's just go ahead and wrap that one up because I'm not going to run too long tonight. The moral of the discussion is, I wish the Trump response to the immigrant situation was a lot more acute, a lot more accurate, a lot more specific, being that saying, this is what we're looking for. If you've been here, you've had no criminal record, you have a paper trail, we can see that you've tried. We'll figure something out. And then moving forward, like, hey, if citizenship's that hard to get, for people that are truly, truly trying to come here for asylum, come here to actually create a better life or whatever reason, get them over here on a visa. They got payroll deduct, man. We can look, you got to pay for your visa. You got to take some classes. You got to do this and that to become American citizen. But once that's it may take you 5 years over here with a clean record and you ain't up to no bad business. But we'll get you in. I don't have a problem with that. There's a lot of people saying, well, man, they're taking the rest of these Americans' jobs. But there's a lot of Americans that are here that ain't up to no good anyways. And I can say that truthfully. I've seen it. I travel many parts of this world, and it's not a Texas issue. It's not an Ohio issue. There's a lot of people that just want to stay in the back in neighborhoods and I don't know, be up to no good and scrap metal. Who knows what they're doing back there? But God forbid. Anyways, we roll to our next topic and maybe our final topic, depending on how long this topic takes to get out. But over the night, I kind of kept up with it. I believe it was around 10-ish our time, maybe not even 10-ish, because I believe Israel, Iran, that's about an 8-hour difference from where I'm at, Central Time, U.S., 8 hours difference. So I think it was around 9-ish our time, maybe 3:30-ish. Sometime in Iran, we snuck over there. Well, excuse me, if we're actually thinking off the right timeline, I think Trump reported it at about 9:30-ish our time, and it was about 90 minutes after the initial attack on Iran's nuclear sites. What a whirlwind to throw us in chaos. Not sure how we feel about it, and rightfully so. Several Americans are not sure how to feel about this situation. it throws us in a frenzy. And I don't think that if this was just Iran we're talking about, it would be an issue. I think we are hung up on the after effects on what could happen in retaliation to doing what we did to Iran. Now, first of all, let's get something clear. I'm not against it. We did not attack Iranian civilians. We did not. I'm not going to say we didn't kill anybody because obviously I don't know that. But we were solely after Iranians' nuclear uranium enrichment facilities. And that's what it seemed like. And that was what was reported. And then Israelis with boots on the ground, eyes in the sky, confirmed, hey, man, you pretty much did the damage. And a lot of people seem to believe the only way for this is north. The escalation is north through the roof. So that's where we're at as normal Americans. Where do we go from here? Because I think I stayed up. I literally stayed up for like 1, 2 o'clock. I've been riding this topic for a minute. And if you don't know, let's just talk about, what makes me sick as an American that reads these topics. And I want to see if I could find you some of these topics. I would just pull them up on my computer, but it's just, let's see. I'm gonna find one. But the fact is that if you go on, I don't even know this Instagram, Threads. Threads is like the new Instagram X, so to speak. I have that. I do not have X. I do not have Truth Mobile. I know that's where Trump initially broke the news to the rest of the world. There is so much, brother, so much misinformation. It is sickening. It is sickening. If you're an American person, and then what's bad is, I've got my mom, I've even got my wife out there, and she's like, but did you hear? Did you see this? This is a picture of the explosion that happened last night. And then there's a caption on this that says they're going to hit such and such state at this time. And it's like, bro, wait a minute. Let me see. Who said that? Who said that? James Darnell. Who's James Darnell? Out of, the Muskogee, Florida. I don't know. Who is that guy? It's nobody. It's misinformation. And some of us will sit there. I will say a lot of us, not just some of us, but a lot of us don't check the credibility of our sources and will believe this nonsense. These just flabbergasted, not in flabbergasted, but these just crazy, outlandish statements that, just will say anything. And what's crazy is there's a lot of these videos that are AI generated and people think they're real. And I'm like, no, that's not credible. That's not real. This is not a source that you want to trust. It's somebody just up to bad business to push, kind of just poke at the topic, like just a bad old zit on your forehead. They're just trying to agitate it. And that may not have been a good analogy to use. Sorry if that was disturbing to some of you. But anyways, to say the least, it is amazing how many of us listen through social media, through X, through Threads, through Instagram, the sources that are so not credible, videos that are AI generated, and we take these to be the truth. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think it's kind of disgusting in a way because, whether this be clickbait or just a scheme to get the masses riled up, it's a nasty, nasty thing. But anyways, to say the least, so we have all this kind of misinformation, but then we have what we know to be true. Okay. So if you look, there's videos out there that it's kind of crazy because sorry, I sent one more text message. Because here's the deal. Iran, let's take to what we know is true. Iran is a regime that wants control of its propaganda. Okay. Now, when I say that, a lot of these people, and even these people that are credible, this is what kills me. Even these people that are credible, they're sitting here saying, "Oh, well, Iran said we didn't destroy the whole nuclear facility. They got the enriched uranium out before this." Do you understand? 4 days ago, Iran shut its communication off to the rest of the world, kind of like North Korea. They shut its internet access off. They shut all this other stuff off so they can control the propaganda of their own people. Now, when they sit here and tell you, oh, it just destroyed the entry tunnels. You're sitting there listening to that. And then I'm not after the excuse free. Look, I don't blame the masses of America. I blame the people that are supposed to be responsible for this information, that are giving it to Americans and causing a panic. There's plenty of stuff we could be panicking about, and to me, the stuff that we need to be panicking about is what's next to come. But the fact is, some of this stuff we've got to take with a grain of salt, because why? Iran wants to control propaganda. And if they feel like that, all of a sudden a thing or two about let's spread information in the world. No. It's kind of like the kid that that got punched in the eye. Just, I don't get a black eye. My eyes just watery. Sorry, I don't. Well, let me see your eye. No. It's just my eyes watery. I can't look at you right now. I'm sorry. You're hiding something. And O'Connor, God forbid. Hey, everybody, let's welcome in Slappy O'Connor. Hey! Yeah, Slappy O'Connor halfway through the podcast, and you're about to get on the stage afterwards. So let me just bring you into where I was at, Slappy, because I'm starting to get fired up and I'm starting to get mad. Here's what I want to say. No. I'm on a roll right now. Okay? Right. This is where I get mad, Slappy. Do you understand? Iran sits there and tells the rest of the world, "Oh, no. You did not. You just destroyed our entryways to our tunnels. You didn't hit it." Do you understand? Iran is a propaganda machine that has shut off the whole entire communication to their whole country. If you look up Iran, you will not see any videos of missiles hitting Iran. You will not see anything, because Iran doesn't want you to know what's going on, the pain they're going through, the deep hits that they've caught. And so we have responsible U.S. people out here, not U.S. people, responsible people, whether it be news media outlets that are sitting there saying, "Well, Donald Trump, you didn't actually destroy nothing. You didn't even hit their nuclear facilities. They're saying you just destroyed the tunnels." Go back to the credibility of the source. Do you think Iran's a credible source when it comes to what really happened?
No.
Just speak on that, Slappy. Give me, because I've been speaking this whole podcast. Give me a breath. Initially, U.S. bombs 3 of the Iran uranium enrichment plants. Fordo. I've got plenty of names. Fordo. Excuse me. What's the other one's name? Estevan. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What do you make of this initially, in your own opinion? Slappy O'Connor is somebody that has spent time did 2 tours, not to give too much, to a country where Sharia law was practiced, and he's seen the backdoor details. What do you make of this, Slappy?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
God bless him.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. Look, I was hiding out in the bunker. I thought World War III was going to break out, but you know
It's all
what?
right. It's all
It
right. Hey,
didn't.
we're happy you're here.
Yeah,
Seriously,
thank
we're
you. I
happy you're here.
appreciate it. We
Seriously.
miss Smeagol, but hey, so here's what I really want to say is first of all, I don't think Iran is that much of a Sharia law. I think they're more westernized. If you look back at the Harlem Shake when LeBron did it and when he was in Miami, the Iran University did the Harlem Shake, right? The problem with this is all the terrorist elements that they fund around the world. So they cause havoc and chaos and fear. They're fear mongers. So, and I think that's probably what they're going for. Now, I don't think if you look at what we did compared to what they shot back. So, what happened when they retaliated? They shot a hospital. Yep, they went after
Well,
civilians.
hey,
The military.
mind you, this is what the Iranian people said. They said, "Hey, we have
I don't think it's the
launched."
people. Look, I think we need to divide the people versus the Ayatollah, right? I don't want to look. I don't think they're all bad. I just
The
think that
Ayatollah said that there was a military base under that hospital, and listen to what they said. They said that there were big tanks, medium-sized tanks, and even phrased that there was kid tanks. And I promise you, I'm not even lying about that. They said that there were small, like childlike tanks. I swear. I mean, it's just, and that was
well,
their excuse and reason for hitting the hospital. Go ahead.
oh no. So no, you bring up a valid point. Let's talk about Derek. Derek brings a valid point up. So let's talk about the correlation. So what did Israel find in the Gaza Strip? They found a base underneath a hospital that the UN was like, "Hey, you can't do that," and yet they found it. Remember this? And it's funny that they're trying to blame that there was a base in Israel. I find the correlations too similar on this. But I do. I think that what we shot was military targets that were and here in Trump. Let's talk about the president of Trump. Boy, that is a very difficult decision to make. That is.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind that everybody is sitting there like Trump. This should be an easy no brainer for Trump because if Trump doesn't attack, God forbid, what if the rumors are right? I know he went against his
Yeah.
defense secretary, but what if they did have a nuclear bomb? What does that look like
Yeah.
for not only Israel but America?
And
That many have on record where Iranians are talking about death to America.
that's what I was going to bring up. I mean,
And
that's
I'm not
ridiculous.
saying it's actually Iranians; it's the regime
Yeah.
and what follows that regime of Iran, the Ayatollahs.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're openly threatening, I mean, destroy a whole individual people like all of America because of their ideologies. That's just terrible.
So, Jason, here's the deal. You haven't you're not Iran. I know you did some tours over there. What does we're not speaking because keep in mind, and before 1979, Iran was a very Western place,
Yeah.
and then the regime came in, overthrew, and they've been solid business. Whether it be, I don't know if they practice. Well, they do practice Sharia law. There's actually a video out there of a lot of Iranian women, and this is post Israel striking Iran. They're sitting there chanting, throwing off their burqas, screaming USA and Israel because they're thinking regime change. Now, first of all, I'm just a two-part question. You've been in those cultures. Just talk about how it is in that culture or a similar type atmosphere to where you are. And then do you think regime change is the real answer? I know a lot of people said that's a little extreme. It may not be the real answer, but when people say regime change, because that's a lot, bro. Regime
Yeah.
change is like you got to weed them
Yeah.
out.
But
Talking
but
about
I but this so we I think these are two great questions. So the first question was the second question was regime change. I'll answer that. So I don't think the outside world should be the regime changer. I think it's the civilians that should say, look, we don't want this. This is not what we want on a daily basis. We want growth, we want prosperity, we want to be friends with everybody and also defend our own people. The good thing about Iran is uh, they are organized. I mean, they are one of the superpowers out there. But um,
well,
I
and
don't.
so Iran is what twice the size of
Yeah.
Afghanistan. A
No,
lot of
Israel. They said what 75 times bigger than Israel. So
Well, I mean, to say the least, it's very impressive. This is where I think this is where I think we stand on it. I
They're proud. They're
think
proud people. They are Iranian are proud. Like they have one flag. They abide by it. With what happened with in the foreign countries that have multiple different diversities of people, plus different beliefs systems. Like where I was at, they can't unite. And I think Iran is definitely united in a certain cause. It's
yeah,
just the
Afghanistan
Ayatollah.
is. Are you're talking about Afghanistan, correct?
Yeah,
Which is
oh,
12
yeah,
tribes that
yeah.
doesn't really get along with each other.
Well, they got Pashtun, it's different languages and different incentives within that organization. But to unite over one flag, I find it very difficult. But you know what, the Taliban have done. They still don't allow women to go to school. I think they're trying to grow on that part. But I mean, that's that. The
Do you
Taliban took
think it's
back over.
possible? Do you think it's possible, Slappy, that some of these, say, a regime like the Atolis, right? Do you think it's possible? And women, if anybody, are at the biggest detriment in these cultures. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, we talk about how the how women are treated. It's definitely a totally different eye opener in that culture. But again, that is the style of culture that they are, and I don't want to shame anybody for being in a culture that's different than mine and the different belief system because I think it's free will.
Well, and that's where I kind of respect Trump's approach to it, is because, like I said
Yeah,
earlier, we weren't after
a war.
hospitals, we weren't after civilians.
Yeah,
We
no, you're right.
specifically went over there to hit three nuclear sites, three uranium enrichment sites that it would definitely promote the greatest probably threat to U.S. from for Iran potentially getting a nuclear bomb.
Well, so I this is what I think. Trump Trump called their bluff. I bet you they were like, "Look, the only weapon that could actually strike the facility that's in this mountain, plus it's encased in concrete. So mind you, it has to go through actual earth, then actually encased in concrete to destroy whatever is going on in that underneath that mountain. So, I think there is a lot of intel, and this is also from Israel intel, probably other foreign adversaries that probably are trying to stay out of the theater that probably sent it over and said, "Hey, this is what we have on it." I think there's a lot of espionage within the country to find out like what they have.
So, what do you think about? I know a lot of people had a lot of kickback of saying, "Well, Trump went against his defense secretary and said that
Yeah,
when
but
she said, oh, well, Iran was not trying to achieve a nuclear bomb."
well, so here's what this I think these are all everybody wants to know these kind of answers, and you're getting it live, like it is coming out one after another. I mean, I bet you everybody's on the uh,
The cusp.
TV right now, yeah, to see the retaliation and what's going to happen next after the Iranis and what they're going to shoot. What I can tell you is whoever is in that position to make that kind of call, uh, that's the reason why they're put in that position.
So what leads us to is I think what everybody, the elephant in the room, is truly scared about, because a lot of Americans uh, support the move to go and strike a lot more than mainstream media is allowing. Um, do you think? Hang on, I'm trying to type something in. I think a lot of Americans though are like, "What's next? Is
Yeah.
it? Is it?" I don't. To me, I don't think that Russia can afford to sit there and enter another war. I just don't, just
No.
because of I'm not going to say letdown in Ukraine, but I think they truly believed that Ukraine was going to be a pushover. And so I think that's, like I said, what does that look like?
Well, you can. So remember, you got to look at the players that are playing against us. So you have allies and accessors, right? So the brick, you know what the brick is? These are the countries that said, "Hey, we want to lower the dollar," right? And remember, the economy that has the best economy, the strongest economy is the United States. So these guys formed up and said, hey, we're going to lower the dollar bill, which is Iran, Russia, China. I want to say it's Brazil and Iran. So these are the ones that have conformed to try to lower the dollar bill, which their economies are booming. Russia is one that you don't really want to mess with because they're willing to pull the trigger. They had the hyperbaric bombs that they put on Ukraine. I remember when they invaded Georgia and they shot that reporter on live television. So do you remember that they invaded during the Olympics?
What year is this?
Oh shoot! It was they invaded, and the reporter's like, "Yeah, Russia's shooting," and a sniper shot the reporter in the shoulder on live television. It's ridiculous. So, look, you got to give it up for Russian people. I think if in World War II Germany tried to take them, they're very they're battle hardened. They're not gonna give.
But see, here's my thing. Do you think this is a situation because there's a lot of information coming out and saying, oh, well, Iran was actually not trying to achieve
I don't believe
nuclear bomb. Now, look, I'm going to bring you back to World War II because you mentioned it.
Yeah, but we're going to finish this, right?
Okay, go ahead, and then I'll bring that question back.
Well, hold on. You keep asking me questions. I want to know your thoughts on it. Because there is propaganda like Israel. Hey, we need you to bomb this. So they can malice some kind of information, kind of like what the Russia collusion case is on Trump. That they open up, that people believe that was real. So if people are bringing in false evidence saying, hey, this is what they have, but then this is what I'm saying. Why would you put it in a mountain? That's one thing against them. Why would you do that in a mountain? I guess
I'm going to give
kind
you
of like what
Chernobyl.
Yeah, kind of like Chernobyl. It's a good strategic point in case somebody tries to attack you.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. That's a good point, what you just said. I'm going to give you my enchilada, and it was the question I was going to ask you, but it was the statement I was really trying to make. I think this is 2.0. Do you remember in World War II, like I said, you just brought it up. Do you remember after World War I, that's a Texas thing, World War I.
Yeah. Come take it.
Germany was not supposed to vamp up their military off the Versailles. Was it the Versailles Treaty?
Yeah,
I believe it was the Versailles. If I'm not, somebody just comment on it. Correct me, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Geneva.
Are you looking at the comments? Anybody commented?
No, maybe it was Geneva. I've just been chatting away. Maybe it was Geneva Convention. Okay, so we got a couple. We got Anan Namas. Rules are rules. He's been commenting up a storm here.
Oh, he's probably upset.
Okay, Anonymous. Look, he showed this back in this. He said, "Rules are rules. People are freaking out over caca. They known was a law forever. It's a. Do you see it at the bottom of your screen?
Oh yeah, freaking out over. Okay, he said essay. Okay.
Yeah. God forbid. So, anyways, I'm going to go back to what I said in the first place. Is saying that whether it was in the Treaty of Versailles, maybe that was post World War II or Geneva Convention. Germany was not supposed to vamp up their military to so many people. And guess what? Hitler said, wipe that off the table. We're a nation of power. And he did it anyways. That's what I believe is happening in Iran. If we can hide it, nobody knows. We can hide it, nobody knows.
So here is
rebuttal.
No. Let's really think. Is it wrong for anybody to deny a country the ability to grow, to have nuclear
grow its defenses?
No. Yeah, defenses. I think Iran is a more up and coming country.
Well, that's the problem, though. Is I don't think.
I think what they did wrong was when they threatened Israel, the death of Israel, multiple times, and then also the terrorist organizations like spending money, like with Houthis, what is it, Hamas? There were some other ones, Yemen. But
ISIS,
but if they're looking at, if they follow the money and the money's going back to like Iran, then yeah, that's a deliberately hostile environment. But then what do we know about the U.S.? You think the U.S. doesn't supply? I remember Fast and the Furious went over in Obama. Remember that? They were letting them the cartel pick up weapons in America and go down there, and then they shot a border agent and killed him. And they were like, wow, that the serial numbers on this weapons from the United States. And the only reason why this came out is because of the gun owners down there in Texas. They were calling it and saying, hey, this is weird. So it's just like, what do we actually know that is true? Okay, what we know is true is we didn't attack a hospital. We attacked strategic precision airstrikes that we found either we had evidence stating that this was going to be hostile, because what let's change it. What if they shoot it? Say we don't act. Say that Trump doesn't act. Is Israel even in the picture anymore? No, I don't think they are.
Well, so time out. So this brings us back to the point of diplomacy. Okay, diplomacy. A lot of people are like, well, why can't Trump be diplomatic? Do you not remember the man saying 60 days they had a chance to come to the table and talk about these issues?
Yeah, no.
And I think on day 61, I think Israel's been planning this attack for a hot minute.
No, I think you're right.
Hang on, we got another comment coming in here from Derek Puckett. Yeah, go ahead and read that at the bottom.
well, hey, read it. Go ahead.
Jason, what's up with the stash, brother? Okay, look, he done got kicked out of that thing. I don't know what happened to him, but God forbid. He must have clicked on something he wasn't supposed to. Anyways, let's get back to whatever. God forbid Jason got kicked out. I don't stream. Okay. Now we're back. Jason, what's up with stash? We were just trying to find out true questions. Anyways, so when people start getting into the whole point of Trump being diplomatic, there was 60 days that this man gave Iran to come to the tables to talk. And they failed to do that. And I think on day 61, it was just that. It was like whatever happens, I can't control. Israel's been trying to get at you. I can't hold them back. That's our ally. God forbid that they do anything to you, but it is what it is, because you have failed to come to the table and, again, talk. So now you have what you have here. And we yet to see what is going on or what is going to happen with the rest of the world. Can we take this comment down? Okay, man. Don't ask Jason about the stash no more. He's about to bounce out of here. But anyways, so as we wait to see what the response is from, obviously, the allies of Iran is Russia, China, North Korea. Not all big fans of us. It's yet to be seen. What's the next? What's going to happen? We don't know. But at the end of the day, all we can do is pray for this country, because I do think, in all, I believe Trump made the right decision to, I'm not going to say attack Iran's people. I think he made the right decision in saying, hey, we're going to go after your nuclear facilities. And after that, it's up to you, brother. After that, it's up to you. You can come talk, or you can still trip on whatever you've been tripping on. And yeah, that's that. That's that. Now, the big thing is, and last thing I want to touch about is, here's the deal. Here's where it comes to be an issue with China. Okay. So I hope I have this. I'm not going to say this right, but Iran today said that they were going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. If I'm not saying that right, if you know how to actually pronounce that, my bad. Now, the only problem is, out of this strait, out of this canal, comes 20 to 30% of the global oil that provides for the rest of the world. And a lot of that's going to China. And China could have an issue with that. Now, it presents one of two things, okay? It presents China could have a big problem with that and say, America, you did this. We have problems. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, China says, Iran, you need to chill out. This is affecting us all now because of your radical decisions of just not trying. Like, look, just chill out with whatever uranium enrichment you're doing, and because we got to have business too. We got to have business too. Yes, I said it. I repeat, 20 to 30% of the world's daily daily I'm going to say exports or yeah, exports of, well, not the world's exports. Iran's exports 20% going out to the rest of the world, China, I'm sure America, and whoever else there is in that topic. That's a very high number. That's a very high number. And I can assure you, if China is, say, 10% of that, yeah, they're going to have issues. And hopefully it's positive issues that they can come to the table, they can talk about, and they can put a bug in Iran's ear and say, look, man, this is not the fight you want to get into. This is not the tree you want to climb. Let's just chill out. But we know these are not our allies. These are Iran's allies. So it's probably going to be more the other way. We hope not, because that's very likely to be a World War III situation. I'm gonna try to stop saying World War III situation, and yeah, we're just gonna leave that alone. We're gonna leave that alone. But anyways, let's see. Slappy O'Connor, this is here. We asked about his mustache. It's all right. One more comment we're gonna go over is Anonymous. Durant is too old. Back at the first of this podcast, we broke the news. We didn't break the news, but we followed up on the initial news being broke that Kevin Durant was indeed going to the Rockets. Look, Anon, Durant is 36, a good age. It's definitely a good age to it's definitely towards the end of your career, but it's still an age to be productive. I don't know if he'll be the number one man, but definitely the number two man. And I think he's still a lethal scorer in the league. Just an update on the NBA Finals. I think it's going the way that I didn't want it to go, because I think Shea, whatever, SGA, I don't even know his whole name. I think he's the most cringiest player to watch in the entire NBA. I think he draws fouls, and I think the league needs to ban half the fouls he draws, because it's cringy. It's some of them. It's not even basketball. It's just cheap ways to do so. Anyways, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up. We've ran an hour tonight. This is the Peach and Smee Show. Do not know what happened to Slappy O'Connor. Whatever it is, I hope he's doing fine. I'm sure I'll see him in a second. We're going to go play some research. Probably not going to stream that. Probably going to follow up with maybe a Tuesday stream, or actually a tomorrow night stream. But to say the least, if you haven't liked, shared, and if you're on YouTube, subscribe to this channel. This is the Peach and Smee Show. We try to base stuff off of common sense. We try to do whatever we can to reach not just our opinion, but just both sides of the aisle, because there's two sides of the aisle. There's two sides to every story. It takes two to tango. So that's what we try to do. We try to have the common sense perspective on these topics. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you are here and you are trying to be an American and you have done nothing but the right thing, I hope you're the best. I hope the Lord solves that out. And then, moral of the story, I do believe Slappy O'Connor. Slappy.
I don't know what's going on. I apologize.
I mean, dude, we were all freaking out. We were like, dude, we literally just asked you about your mustache, and you bounced.
Yeah. Do you like it?
So, yeah, no, it's a good mustache. Derek, shout out to Derek Puckett in Coons, Texas. That
What?
But look, we were just closing it out. In closing, so do you have anything left on the table that you have to say? We covered the what's going on in Los Angeles. We think obviously that should first of all, we're going to ask you 1 or 2 questions, then we're going to close it out, and then we're going to go play some resurgence. And if y'all want to follow us over there and see us get some dubs. Jason, Los Angeles, final topics on Los Angeles and the situation going on in Los Angeles with immigrants.
Riots, not protest.
Riots. Excuse me, riots, not protest. Protest.
Well, no, next question. Next question. I thought these were hot topics. I say riots, not protests.
Okay.
When you start, and here my facts are: once you start burning police cars, throwing rocks on a bridge on top of police cars, and actually throwing canisters and shooting rockets at police officers, when does it come to an effect where you actually use lethal force? Anyways,
let me get you. I'll ask you the one topic that you missed out on that we're actually going to close with, and it just says Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz. Now Hormuz it exports 20% to 30 at some days 30% of the global oil in the world. What do you think that means for the allies of Iran, and how does that affect America?
So with Iran, look, they're going to do their best to
mostly China. Mostly China, because China's the one that this is what I said. A, China can come to the table and say, hey, this is a problem and we're going to get into this with you against America. Or B, you need to chill out because this is now affecting how we do daily life.
Well, look, it's all about business. Nobody wants. Come on, does they really want a World War III? What was gathered in World War III? Death. That's it. And then we stopped the genocide. That was it. But I don't think anybody wants to go to a World War III. Not China, not Russia, not Iran, not U.S., not Canada, especially not Europe. So my thing is they're trying to do this to deter oil, like hurt us in the long run. But I think Texas, I think a lot of these oil supplies, some of our reserves, if we could start pumping it out or find an oil well, or we'll see. We have the biggest economy, so the only thing they're hurting is the world, pretty much. Yeah, themselves.
Well, like I said, they're going to hurt China because a lot of China's oil comes out of Iran, and so
but I
don't think Russia's as much as a player on this as China would be.
Yeah,
but also Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, have progressed in their relationship.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? Before I end, just because I wanted your takes on a lot of these. What do you think of Netanyahu? Do you think this is just like something to keep him where he's at? Do you think, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, Netanyahu's been saying this for years.
I think him and Trump probably have a very good relationship because he's similar to Trump. He will make them very difficult calls where most of the world's like, hey, I don't really want to. If you got punched in the mouth as much as Israel has over the past couple years, over like attacks, tunnel attacks, that October 7th attack where they said, hey, Allah Akbar, and God be good, to kill babies and burn them. And now this is evidence out there if you look on the dark web, or if you hear some of the reporting that has happened on October 7th. That was a massacre, man. If that would have happened in the United States or any other country, what would we have done? And I'm telling you what we would have done. We would have done what we did in September 11th and try to find those guys. But
go ahead. Well,
and I think that's what Netanyahu is saying. Like, hey, look, this is never going to stop. Years before and years after, they will continue to come. So where do we kick them in the nuts or put them
eliminate the threat?
Say, yeah, that's it. And I think he said they've had enough. They said, look, no more. That's why they've pushed into Gaza so far. Really, they've destroyed all of Gaza. And the reason why they did that was so usually what if you're going to try to take over a country or do something, kind of like what Russia did to Ukraine. They walked up into Crimea and said, hey, this is ours. They didn't want to destroy Crimea because they wanted to utilize it as support. And you don't want to destroy the infrastructure because guess what? It's going to cost money. It's going to take money from your economy, your overall money from that country that you're already in to try to build a new, the infrastructure in this new land that you just took over. They don't want that. So I think We live in a global society. There's 7 billion people out there in the world that we have to feed and be good with. And I think it's very difficult to make those decisions right now, especially with the technology that's coming. And there's egos and war fighters out there, and people believe in something, and other people believe in something else. And I think it's hard to come to the table and say, hey, why don't we get on board and be put in the gray area and we'll be fine. When you have one side that says, death to Israel, and the other side saying, "Hey, whoa, 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 whoa," it's very difficult to find an interest.
Well, two more questions for you, Slab, before we close out here. Why do you think that America values Israel so much? I'm a Christian man, so I wouldn't my answer would kind of be biblical based.
Yeah, but here's my argument. All right,
Go ahead.
Okay, look, what you just said was biblical based, right? But how did you become a Christian? And this is what they'll say. How'd you become a Christian? Because your mom and dad went to church. Am I right?
Yes. Well, yeah, I would say the start of it, yes.
So the only reason why you're a Christian is because your mom and dad, you didn't find Christianity for yourself. So my argument is this. The reason why, the Bible says, the Jews are my people. So that's the only reason why that you believe that Israel should be protected by America. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, it's because your parents put you into Christianity, and then you read the Bible thoroughly, and they said, "Hey, Israel's our, God says it's our people."
Agreed.
So it's a battle between you got the Quran and you got the Bible. The Quran says one thing and the Bible says another.
Ultimately, a religious war.
But then, absolutely. But then you have a moral compass too, as a human being. Do you really want to destroy and kill people? And I think that's where we can find a little different. A lot of
well, and like I just said, I do agree with the standpoints of Donald Trump and saying, "Hey, we're going to go over there and we're going to solely attack your nuclear facilities where you're trying to enrich uranium."
Precision of it.
And
we don't want to declare
other
war.
than that, we don't want ground. We don't want ground troops on the ground. Even though we have troops in Kuwait, we have troops bases in Iraq. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I want to hear you because I was going to ask you that before you left.
Well,
before you got booted.
I got kicked off.
It was the stash. It was the stash.
Yeah, it was. They were like, "Hey, you got to go." So this is what I think. I think if they do a retaliation on our embassy, our bases, our U.S. interests, I think Trump will. Because we haven't this is the problem, right? When do you know defeat? And this is why I think the Iranian people are proud. They have no air. They have the air. Their air is gone. So what is protecting them from getting just demolished by any bombers or any other airplanes right now? If you have no air support to control the air or any launchers to shoot the airplanes out of the sky, especially 6th-gen fighters, you're gonna have a long day.
A radical faith.
Yeah. So I think that's the reason why the only thing they have is the Navy right now.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like radical faith is almost like we're suicide bombers. Like they're just like, for Allah.
Yeah, but you kind of got to respect them in a sense that they have that much faith. But most of the suicide bombers are not your leaders. They're not going to go in there and do that. So they're going to get these low foot soldiers and be like, hey, here, they're going to get them doped up and they're going to believe that they're going to get 40 versions. And look, I don't know. They could. I don't know. Nobody knows after death. But I know that death happens to everybody, and it doesn't matter what you believe in. Death is going to happen. You're never going to outrun it. So that's one thing that I can say, that if you're not going to bring faith and religion into it, death is going to come for us all. And
so the last question I have for you before we go and potentially more than likely get a dub on Resurgence is, Slappy, who will be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns?
Caitlin Clark.
Oh
no, I don't know. I think Flacco's got it, bud. I do.
Nick Chubb's the Texan now, bud. Nick Chubb's the Texan.
That's one thing that breaks my heart is Nick Chubb was a stud, and as soon as he got injured twice, they're like, sorry.
You see the shirt that I'm repping right there, bud.
Oh yeah.
God bless Ohio. So I don't know. I've heard Shador's had some some spectacular days at camp. But I don't know. I think it's still Deshaun Watson's team. Granted, injuries prevent him doing so. I think Deshaun still has a clear shot at the starter position. I just don't think. But Shador Sanders seems to be catching fire. So, other than that, your Cleveland Browns could be sitting pretty. We'll see. And obviously, preseason is going to be a big telltale for the organization.
That's right. I think Texas are
So,
going to have a one heck of a year, but they have two great running backs. I think Chubb is going to surprise a lot of people. Chubb is a fighter, dude. A Chubb, Nick Chubb. Let me tell you, Nick Chubb was raised right, and he's a hard worker. Go ahead.
As long as injury is prevented. Other than that, sad to say, it does look like there's 4 minutes left in the NBA Finals, and I think that OKC is probably going to win it. They're up by 13. I hate the way SGA plays. I'm going to say that one more time on the stream because I think he's a foul baiting, cringiest player to watch in the NBA, and I think the NBA should change its stance on how easy it is to get a foul or drawing a foul.
Well, okay. Let's be honest. What about the WNBA and how they're hacking and destroying Caitlin Clark? That's ridiculous. I think the league's against her, and I feel bad for Caitlin Clark, but she's a warrior.
Here's what I will say about Caitlin.
I've just been watching. Go ahead.
Caitlin Clark in closing. I think Caitlin Clark is a competitor. So yes, some trash talk is provoked, but other than that, I think.
So you're saying it's warranted.
No. Hang on.
You're saying it's warranted for her fouling.
No. I'm not saying it's warranted. I'm saying
they're trying to injure her.
Some of it is provoked. Some of it is provoked because she's a competitor. Keep in mind, if I'm a competitor. So if I'm playing you in Call of Duty and I'm beating you, I'm gonna say, "Ooh, 5-1, not looking good, bud. Y'all should have rethought."
Time out.
But time out. So this is what I'm gonna say. The opposite of Caitlin Clark. It's like the opposite of positive. Or maybe that's not the opposite of right is left. So the opposite of Caitlin Clark. If you're not a Caitlin Clark fan, you're an Angel Reese fan, and I think that is the most asinine thing. That's the third time I've said that in this podcast. That word, the most asinine
repetition is good.
But I think that those who appreciate basketball and have a stance on Angel Reese over Caitlin Clark. You have no idea what you're talking about. Angel Reese is a mid at best, mediocre at best basketball player, and the fact that you're actually trying to argue that this is her league over Caitlin Clark's is just humorous. It's humorous.
So here's my next question. Do you remember when Shaquille O'Neal said, "Hey, if they lowered it to 9 feet, just a little bit, there'd be more dunking for some of the bigs."
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it probably would be more entertaining. But the thing about where Caitlin Clark's like style of play is, it's very Steph Curry.
Yeah, Steph Curry. She's changed women's basketball because
forever,
what she's doing. Forever.
So when Steph Curry came into the league, Steph Curry did what. And keep in mind, there has been multiple phenomenal athletes through the years of the NBA. Oscar, Magic, Jordan, all that. LeBron, Kobe, and then Steph Curry came and would pull from
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dan Marley, John Stockton.
He would come from half court if he have to. He'd pull from half court, and people are like, "Dude, what's the answer for this guy? Because he can shoot from anywhere. It's not. He didn't have to dunk a basket, and I think that's where
Allen Iverson. Can't forget that.
Dude, Caitlin Clark went back to back on 3-pointers the other day, and I was like, bro, this girl's the truth. Like, this is unreal.
So remember, this is what she's done. She's promoted the WNBA. Like, woo, now a lot more people are watching.
And keep in mind, the WNBA is more so in debt than it is profit. Okay,
I know. But yeah, look, I'm all for women's like movement up, but the only way they're going to do it is they got to get in there and play good, sound basketball, each team, and they have to have like some players like Caitlin Clark. Imagine if you had 10 of them out there on the basketball court, just balling. But I mean, I think some of these women they still play very timid, and they miss a lot of shots. They do miss a lot of shots.
At the end of the day, I think the WNBA is kind of viewing this as like good content is good content. negative
It is.
content is still good content because people
Yeah.
talk about it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
absolutely.
I think the
Don't
best
you-
thing.
I think the future of women's WNBA in sports. I know that we're trying to cut it off, and I apologize. I
No, you're good,
apologize,
brother.
Eric. This is my last one. But imagine your daughter watching this and saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this," and then she's going out there doing something totally different. Because that's what Caitlin's doing. I mean, she's shooting what 10 feet away from the 3-point line and making
Yeah.
them. So
Far
I think
distances.
this is the growth that we needed in WNBA. All right, that's it.
Well,
That's
and what I would say is in this is I think that the best thing for the WNBA, and like I said, I think they're trying to approach it is even negative media is still good media because it's media. I think the best thing for the WNBA to do with Caitlin Clark is embrace Caitlin Clark because she is a revenue cow and she's selling out arenas that you don't typically sell out. And she's not just selling out home arenas. She's selling out. She'll go to, and Cleveland didn't have a women's basketball, but if they did, she would go to Cleveland and sell out Cleveland's arena because guess what? People like Caitlin Clark. By far, let me tell you how much people like Caitlin Clark. When Sophie Cunningham got into a technical issue the other day, got into a technical foul in retaliation to what the girl did to Caitlin Clark and kind of got at her on the on the 3-point line. Sophia Cunningham next play goes down there and grabs the girl and chucks her down, and she's Caitlin Clark's teammate. Her jersey sales went through the roof, sold out on multiple.
They also they're trying to petition her to get kicked out of the ban from the league. Think about that. That's the total opposite. One, her sales go up. The other side's like, get her out of the league.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. So I don't think it's a race issue. I don't think you have like black men saying this. Well, no, I don't think you have black men saying this, but I think women. I think in particular that black women because basketball. I'll be honest with you. Look, black people are really good at basketball. I'm just not lying. It's like I said. It's not. I don't think it's unfair to say that. They have good talent. They're quick. They're fast. They jump. Like I said, and when you have that style, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, because if it went opposite ways, oh, well, they're just showing love to this girl because she's white. She's a white, like if it was Angel Reese and Angel Reese was a white girl, then it would be the totally different dynamic, and therefore we'd be pulling for Angel Reese. I don't think that's the argument. I think that's a bonker excuse. And I think you're sitting here trying to create a rivalry with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and they're on two different levels. Angel Reese being here, Caitlin Clark being here, or like maybe up here where you can't even see it. Like it's just two different. But anyways, other than that, like I said, I'm not. I don't think it's. But I think some people look at that and pull that card and say, oh well, it's just because that's she's a white girl and you will see why. I have seen that. So other than that, with that being said, at the end of the day, we're going to close this thing out because I want to go win some research. Slappy O'Connor, thank you for joining us. We're probably going to do one next week because Slappy O'Connor,
we enjoy it.
And then, yes, and not only that, we enjoy it. Smee had some birthday business with his Latina familia. At the end of the day, we are the Peach and Smee Show. Everything we do is not off of this side of the aisle or that side of the aisle. We try to just base it off common sense. What's a threat to us? What's not a threat to us? What's right? What's wrong? And at the end of the day, that's all we try to base our opinions off of. And if you have not liked and shared, or if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We'll have some shorts cut off of this. Slappy O'Connor's mustache looks extremely well. We don't want to put the quote up again because it may kick him off the stream. Anyways, other than that, God bless you. Until next time, we love you. We hope all is well. We pray for the best outcome. Literally, we pray for the best outcome. We do not want World War III to start. We just want radicals with the wrong weapons to just slow down and let's have peace. Can you agree?
No, I agree. Let's pray for Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, also the U.S. or anybody else, even Taiwan, because Taiwan is probably eventually going to get it next. So
yeah. Well, then that Slappy, can you close us out, brother? Can you just tell the people a goodbye because everybody's cheering for you, man. We're happy you came on.
Well, hey, thank you for watching us. I know sometimes it's kind of bored, but I mean, we enjoy doing it. You guys have a wonderful Monday. Enjoy it. It's going to be hot. So drink lots of water. Make sure you guys kiss your wives and your kids.
A podcast for dads. You know where to find us. Peach&Smee, baby. We'll see you, Jason, later on Resources. Let's get it done. Yes, sir.
Good.
God bless.